Hello and welcome back to Learn Linux TV, and also welcome to my brand new Bash scripting course. In this series, what I'm going to do is teach you everything that you need to know in order to get up and running when it comes to writing Bash scripts. But you might be thinking, why exactly would I want to write a Bash script? Well, we as Linux administrators or DevOps professionals are going to be running quite a few commands. And eventually, we're going to run into a situation where we have a series of commands that we need to run every now and then. But if we're going to be running the same set of commands over and over again, then why not automate it? Why would we want to manually run those commands every time we go to complete that task? And that's where Bash scripting comes in. At its lowest form, Bash scripting is just a way to have a bunch of commands run one after another, commands that you save in a text file and then execute as a script. But that's not all that you could do in Bash. Bash has all kinds of cool features, such as if statements, while loops, the ability to have variables, and if I didn't know any better, I would say based on that description, it almost sounds like Bash is a programming language. Well, if you're thinking about Bash in terms of a programming language, you're not actually far off. Now, to be fair, Bash is actually a command interpreter or a shell that we use on our Linux or Unix systems. But don't let the term interpreter fool you. Bash is basically a programming language, and the scripts that you can write within Bash are really awesome. And you're going to see examples of that in this series. So what I'm going to do in this video is introduce the course and tell you all about it. And then in each video from here on out, we're going to learn more and more about Bash scripting. And by the end of this series, you're going to be a pro when it comes to writing Bash scripts. And I can't wait to teach you guys about Bash scripting. This is going to be a ton of fun. In fact, every single episode in this series is already on YouTube right now. That's right, every single episode has been uploaded at the exact same time. If you want to binge watch this series, you can go right ahead and do so. But then again, it might be better to slow it down a bit and take your time and make sure that you're learning all of the concepts. Either way, every video in this series is going to be right there waiting for you whenever you're ready for it. Anyway, like I mentioned earlier, in this video, what I'm going to do is introduce the course. So let's go ahead and switch gears and I'll give you an overview of what you'll expect to find in this course. So at this point, I'll tell you guys a little bit more about myself. First of all, my name is Jay. Nice to meet you. Now, I've been working with Linux for over 2 decades. It's literally my favorite technology, and writing scripts has definitely helped me along my career, and I'm sure it'll help you in yours as well. Now, professionally, I am the owner of Learn Linux TV, an education company that specializes in Linux. Before Learn Linux TV became my only gig, I've held positions in system administration, network administration, DevOps, management, and other roles as well. I love leading people, leading teams, and I also love technology, so my career has been very good to me. In addition to creating educational videos, I also write books as well. My latest book, as of the time I'm recording this series, is Mastering Ubuntu Server. If you want to check it out, you could go to www.ubuntuserverbook.com, and that domain will actually take you to whatever the current version of that book happens to be at any one time. Now, before you actually visit that domain, I want to point out that what it'll do is take you to the United States store for the book on Amazon, and if you live in a different country, then what you'll want to do instead is go to Amazon.com and search for Mastering Ubuntu Server. You can do that on your version of Amazon for your country. And once you do that, you should be able to order the book from an Amazon site that is closer to your geographic location. Anyway, I love Linux. It's my favorite technology, and I love creating educational content around Linux. So you know what? I couldn't possibly be in a better place when it comes to my career because I'm doing what I love teaching, I love technology, so it all works out. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the outline for this course. The first class will serve as the introduction and welcome, and I would love to tell you what we're going to do in that class, but we're already doing it. You are actually watching that video right now. In the next video, what we're going to do is write our very first Bash script, and specifically, we will create a Hello World script, and that's because in, well, pretty much any programming language, as well as scripting languages, the Hello World example is usually the first thing that instructors teach you, and I am not going to break that tradition in this series. In class number 3, we are going to explore variables. Variables allow us to, well, save information for later. In addition, We could use variables to make our scripts change depending on what variables equal. And the reason why we're going to cover variables early in this course is because it's a very important foundational concept. We will be using variables in quite a few of the lessons, so it's a good idea to get that out of the way early in the course. Class number 4, we're going to take a look at math functions. For example, how do you add, subtract, or multiply numbers in Bash? Now, you might already be familiar with how to perform math functions in a programming language, perhaps another scripting language. However, math functions are actually a bit different in Bash, so we definitely want to make sure that we take a look at that. Continuing, in class number 5, we're going to take a look at if statements. And that'll also be our first look at branching. Basically, we can have a script that does something different depending on some other criteria, a test case if you will, and that allows us to make decisions within scripts, and that's definitely an important aspect to cover. And continuing on from there, in class number 6, what we'll do is take a look at exit codes. Every command and every script is going to have an exit code, and that helps you as the administrator understand if a script or command was successful, and knowing that will help you take action based on the result. Class number 7 is all about while loops, and that helps us write scripts that are watching for a file or some other criteria to understand whether or not that script should be running or if it should exit. We have full control over that, so that's what we'll explore in class number 7. In class number 8, we're going to take a little break from branching and take our first look at an update script, and that particular script is going to serve as an example in several videos going forward, so that's the first time that we'll take a look at that, and that update script will help us keep our servers up to date. In class number 9, we will return to branching, this time taking a look at for loops. In class number 10, we will answer the question, where should I save my scripts? And the reason that question even comes up is because there's quite a few directories in the Linux file system, and although we don't need to understand the purpose of every directory on the Linux file system, it is important to understand which directories actually pertain to scripts, and that'll help us answer where we should save our scripts for later use. Continuing into class number 11, we'll take a look at data streams, basically standard input, standard output, as well as standard error. Data streams themselves allow us to control the flow of data in our scripts, and that gives us even more options. In class 12, we'll take a look at functions, and that one's going to be a lot of fun. Class number 13 is all about case statements, and this essentially allows us to create a menu from which the user can actually select an option, and then the script responds accordingly. In class number 14, we take our first look at scheduling jobs. So this class is part 1 of a 2-part class that goes over exactly that. In class 15, we continue our look at scheduling jobs. In 16, we'll take a look at arguments, specifically how to pass arguments to a script. And in class number 17, that's where a majority of what we've learned in this course will all come together, because we will use quite a few of the concepts when we create a backup script, and that backup script is going to be something that you can actually use to back up your servers. And after we do that, class number 18 is going to be our closing. That's where we'll wrap everything up, and I will also give you some additional resources that you can use to extend your knowledge even further. So you might be really excited to get started, and I hope you are. We're going to have a lot of fun. But you might be wondering, what exactly do I need in order to follow along with this course? Well, the first thing you're going to need is a computer. Obviously, you can't really write bash scripts on a toaster. Actually, I probably need to walk that statement back, considering that IoT devices often run Linux, and they probably run scripts too. So if you have an IoT toaster, well, it could probably run bash scripts. But in this course, what we're going to do is just use a computer, and you'll also need a terminal as well. In Windows, it's built in macOS, it's built in, and also on Linux distributions, it's built in. So regardless of what kind of computer that you have, you should be in good shape. In addition to that, what you'll need is a Linux server or some kind of Linux installation that you can log into. So what you could do for that is spin up Linux in a virtual machine, maybe a spare server, or maybe even your desktop or laptop. If that already runs Linux, then, well, you have everything you need. But that's about it. If you have a computer and you have the ability to spin up a Linux installation, you should be good to go. But if you don't actually have a Linux installation all set up and you have no idea how to get one set up, do I have the YouTube channel for you? In fact, you're watching it right now. The last time I checked, there was almost 1,000 videos on this channel, and I'm probably over that at this time. So there's going to be no shortage of content on this channel that you can use to get